Hey, welcome to another monthly studio report for All Is Fair in Dust and Air and Broken Hammer Games. I am the founder and CEO of Broken Hammer Games, and yeah, September was huge. We finally released. We got out of early access. Yay! It was a major accomplishment that we were aiming for actually 2 months ago. We were hoping to get in July, and world events and things happened, and then we just had to push back, but we got it. So, awesome. We finally got it out. We finally have that stigma of early access off of us. That has actually been something we have, well, I guess it's like we've realized it more as we've gone on. That, I mean, people see early access and they go, ooh, unclean. Yeah, it was something that was definitely holding back the development, holding back sales, just trying to deal with that. And I know early access is meant to be a program which is to help devs like us kind of get a game release while we get things finished. And honestly, I would not recommend it for a lot of devs. I mean, if you can avoid early access, just go straight to release. For some, it might be a decent option, but for us, ultimately, in the end, we kind of viewed it as not a great option. And that's mostly thanks to the fly-by-night developers that just, they release something on early access, they get a little bit of money, and then they're gone. So yeah, those people, we don't like you. Oh boy. Yeah, we were the whole month of September going into it. We weren't 100% sure how fast we were going to release. We know things were coming real close. We had just like one image that was really kind of a hold up, and we brought Winks in. We actually asked her, can you finish this up? Can you wrap this stuff up, get it done? And she said, yeah. And so she worked on it. She got it back to us within a week. We moved through as fast as we could, get everything else out, got all the announcements done. If you notice on our Steam page, we actually redid the branding, we did all the imagery and such, because we want Gwen to kind of be like the poster girl going forward, so we did change all of that. I've also, if you do read the written blog portion, you're also going to see a little bit of a, well, we're not I kind of like took it from the Steam, so this is sort of like what you view in the back end of Steam, and if you're a dev, you kind of get to view these pages, and there's more data. I cannot disclose every single thing, but just because Steam has their own rules, but I can just at least show you where our audience is for All Is Fair in Dust and Air. And if you look at it, probably should have pulled one up here for you, but if you go through it, I'm just going to leave that for the blog. That'll be a special thing for the written blog. You can see where we did most of our audience is the US. Next step is Germany, which was really surprising. We did not think we'd have a huge amount out of Germany, but we did. If you count Europe and stuff, I mean, Europe, pretty much there was a good amount of Europe, so, but specifically Germany, I was like, that's awesome to see. I mean, that kind of shows us that we have another audience that we can potentially reach, and maybe we can do a translation down the line. Russia, definitely coming in number 3 right now, but yeah, our plan is to eventually do a Russian translation. Georgie has been adamant about it. He wants to do a Russian translation for his fellow countrymen and such, so we're like, yep, go ahead, Georgie. We approve of new translations for Dust and Air and helping reach other markets. As far as when translations are going to get going, no real timetable right now. It's kind of like starting to get viewable in the near, well, not in the near future, but in the future that's coming up. We can see like, okay, we need to start maybe thinking about translations. So that is something coming. We're going to be probably, I wouldn't expect any news on that anytime soon. Maybe 2022 we might look again at translation stuff. We're gonna have to see on that. Now if you have noticed in the new advertising stuff we're doing, the new marketing stuff, there's a new background that's in place. That's the background of mole that we've been teasing, and that was the big holdup. That was what was holding us up as we were waiting to get this done, and we decided, you know what, this looks really good, and we decided, let's go ahead and change the thing so we don't have that ship background. It was getting old, so you decided to throw the mole background there, and it's kind of got a little bit of everything. You got the airship, you got the city, you got something that's, so yeah, it turned out really well. Gwen actually looks really good against it. The other idea we were looking at the time was we were going to be putting William or something in that spot. And Ryan was actually more adamant. He wanted to get William in that spot. And the problem is we don't really, we have a full character model of William, but it's old. And more anime in look, so it didn't quite match the new updated model. So we would have to kind of have an artist come in and like cut William's head off and put it on the new model or something. We just decided that's a little bit extra to do right now. We're just going to run with Gwen because Gwen's the poster girl, so we want to push Gwen right now. One other big thing that happened this month is we decided, well, at least more closer to decided and finalized a lot of the titles for the story arcs going forward. Now, Gwen's title is for sure set. We're set on that one. The other titles are kind of advanced working titles, but they're probably not too far off from what they're going to be in the end. And I can just, we put this in game, but I can just play a video of it for you now on what the new titles are. This is what is in game. So if you play through the game and you finish the story arcs, you finish the cathedral story, this is what plays at the end of it. So I'll just put it on for you now. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a little glimpse of it. So just to go recap, in case you missed it, Guinevere's arc is going to be called A Raven's Prayer. Kali's arc is right now working title Storms of the Lost. Owlie's arc will be When Tigers Lie. Sophia's arc will be Precipice of Demise. Abigail's will be Wings of the Heart, and Nakiri's will be Sands of Reckoning. So that is our story lineup moving forward into the future. It's how things are going to play out. Now, each of those titles has a bit. It kind of describes not only what's happening in the story, but it also links into the poem that's at the beginning of Dust and Air when you load it up when you're going into day one of the Cathedral arc. We have that poem that plays. Now, original design for that, and we had other titles. It was Griffos. He had the idea to to kind of build our titles for each story arc from the poem. Now, his original idea was to pose questions like, must simple dreams die? That was originally one of the story arc titles for a time. That was a working title in the past, and that kind of poses a question that comes in from the poem. Now, when we were looking through it, we were going back and we were considering this, and I was actually doing this this last month and kind of reconsidering, because I wanted to produce something for everybody to see, so at the end of the story you kind of get a glimpse of what's coming. And so I needed some working titles. I needed something better, more concrete, and I was going through all the questions and I was posing things and saying, how can I tie this into the story? What is the story about? How does that work in with the title? And in the end, I kept on having issues with certain things, trying to pose the right question. So what I ended up doing was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to borrow a lot. I'm going to borrow what I can from the poem, and I'm going to work in a new title based on that. So as Raven's Prayer, there's ravens in the poem. There's prayer in the poems talking about that thing, and it flows in with the story. And what is Gwen's prayer? What is her dad's prayer? What is various characters that are part of the Barony's faction? What are they desiring? What is their prayer and such? So that's kind of how that's kind of molding in there. The rest of the stories similar. Now, you want to draw some ideas from that, what the story is about. By all means, go ahead and leave some comments what you think it's about. I'm not going to tell you exactly what everything's about. I might give some more hints on what the other stories are, but other than that, that'll be it. The other big thing this month was we had a major company meeting, probably one of the biggest ones we've had in a while, at least in about a year. We have done art meetings, we have done music meetings, we haven't done like a major thing where we try to get everybody in one. And funny, it actually ended up being 2 meetings because we had to work out schedules and such and the different times between our European crew and our US crew that are working. And it actually ended up, we had the art on one meeting and the music on another. I wanted everybody on one, but it just we couldn't get everybody in one. But we actually did some very good we had some very good discussions on how we're going to do Gwen's arc, how we're going to get that story built. Now, in the blog that you look at on our website, there's a little chart. Now, this is one of the ideas that we came up with. Now, this could still change. We're not 100% set on it, but right now this is looking like the best option that we have to not only get the story arcs released, but also get them to you faster, so you're not like waiting for a while, like, oh my gosh, why haven't they finished the story? No, I don't want people to get too upset. We want to be able to show that we released this game and we're still developing it. We're still moving on in the story arc. So what it's going to be, and this is the plan we have now, is pending everything works out with how the DLC system is going to work between Steam and Tyranno. This is one thing that we know it can handle it. We know things can do it, but we haven't really investigated it all the way yet. And so we're going to talk with Tyranno a lot on this. We're going to see what can be done. So we're going to be talking with Tyranno a lot on this, and we're going to be seeing if we can get this to work the way that the engine should be able to do it. There should be no issue with being able to take the DLC, be able to take the story and drop it in and attach it. But I mean, there is a lot of technical sides to that we have to iron out. So that is going to be probably the only holdup with getting the Gwen's arc to people, to you, if you're one of the backers or one of the people that had bought All Is Fair and Dust and Air. We got to figure that out first. Now, if we can't get that to work, if we have issues with resolving how the DLC is going to drop in, then we do kind of have an idea. It's not our go-to idea, and that would be just we're going to basically have to release it with All Is Fair and Dust and Air, the Cathedral arc. We're just going to have to add it. And ideally what's going to happen is that we're going to, either way we go, we're going to be raising the price as we go. So the story arc will be released, and it's going to cause a price increase of All Is Fair and Dust and Air, maybe $1, maybe $2. We haven't really decided yet how much. We want to keep it small because we're going to be releasing a chapter at a time. So everything we do will be chapter by chapter by chapter. And if you look at the chart on there, the idea is that we're coming in with we have a lot of new content to make. And so a chapter gets released, less new content, and then we have more content that we can reuse. And then all of a sudden we'll have less new content in the next chapter, more reusable content, less. Now, not every chapter is going to work like this. There is some chapters where we're going to have settings that are going to change. We're going to go to a different town or a different city, a different area, and when we do that, I mean, that's going to be more new content. We're going to have a larger chunk, but ideally by the time we get to the end, we're hoping that we're going to be able to release Gwen's story much faster. So in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit longer because we have to make a lot of content, and later it's going to get less and less and less until eventually we're just able to switch real fast and release. Now, if this plan works, we're going to probably be using the same thing for every story arc. So we're hoping that it's going to work, and we're hoping it's going to be able to be a good solution for us to develop and also get it out to you as fast as possible. Now, we also are going to probably be doing some recaps of episodes in there somewhere. This was an idea that was presented by the music team. They said, I guess you should run a recap just in case people forget. And I said, yeah, maybe we should. We will be skippable. Don't worry. We're going to make those so that you're not going to go, oh my gosh, a recap. And we're not going to be like Naruto where we run recaps every 2 episodes or something. No, we're not going to do that. So don't worry, we're not going to go too crazy with it. We're going to be as sensible as possible. Now, lastly, as we're kind of like closing out this monthly report, we want to go into the other next steps that we're going to be doing at Broken Hammer and for All Is Fair in Dust and Air. The first of it is we are going to get us onto some other platforms, and the first one is itch.io. It's a major visual novel website. We're going to be making a page on there for All Is Fair in Dust and Air. We're going to be getting it on there so people can get the game through that. If they're a big visual novel fan, they'll be able to get it there. And that should work with Steam because they have the Steam key option. So we'll preload it with a whole bunch of Steam keys and off it goes. The other option is we're looking at maybe Amazon and some others, but mostly we're looking at where a lot of the visual novel gamers are going to be, and that is itch.io. So we'll be going there first, and then after that we are going to be launching the Android version. Yay! Android. We're going to be getting onto cell phones, and we're not 100% sure how we're going to sell it, if we're going to do if we're going to do like one price, or if we're going to try to do free to play with ads and stuff. We got to kind of look at that a little bit closer as we get a build and we do some testing in it. It might just be as that if it's possible, what we might do is we'll just do a free to play, but if you want to see more, then it's maybe $1 or whatever. We don't want to keep it super high so that people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to buy that, forget it. But I know that's kind of how marketing and how game development is on the phones, and we know that the Asian market and them, they love for free-to-play stuff. They do not like to pay up front for stuff, but they'd rather do the free-to-play and then unlock as they go. So we're going to see if we can get that functional for that audience, for that market. There's a little bit of work to do for that, so we're going to have to update that probably maybe in a month or two. We'll see once we start getting into the Android port and all that stuff. We'll let you know how that's going to be. The other thing that we are going to be looking at is iOS. Now, iOS is going to be a little bit behind, and the only reason why is because we don't have a Mac, and everything we want to go through. I guess we have to use Xcode, and we have to get the Mac dev account and all those things set up. So that's one big hurdle before we get the Mac OS version as well. So once we do Android, that'll give us an idea of what we're doing on the cell phone. Then we're going to shift it into iOS once we kind of have to get ourselves a Mac so we can dev on it. And then at the same time we do iOS version, we're going to be probably doing the Mac OS version. So if you're on Steam, if you're a Mac user, and you're like, when are they ever going to get the Mac version? Well, it's coming as soon as we get a Mac. So I do have Macs, but they're pre-2005, so they're the old, like earlier than x86 era. I was originally a very big Mac person until they switched to x86, and then I went to PC. But anyways, that is just a small little side story. One last thing. Steve Jobs always says, I wanted to just detail something that was going in it was a late patch at the end of the month, and it was Georgie that the last thing he came up out of nowhere. I said, oh hey, I touched up some of the background images, and I was like, you did? I knew he was wanting to, but I didn't know he was going to get to it. So I just want to detail it a second. Now this is one of the images that he touched up. Now this is the full size image. I actually tried to zoom it in better and it didn't show up very well. But this is Gwen in the park, and this is what he did. As you notice, her face, between the two, he kind of tightened up a few areas, fixed some of the lines, so it's a lot better in the face. He also lightened up the image a bit. So that is actually in game right now. And then Sophia, in her scene, one of the key images, this is William and his face. This is how his face looked before, and this is how it is now. So as you can see, he kind of fixed eye placement and made it look a little bit more natural in the face. So aside from that, that's it for this month. Be sure to stay tuned for next month. I can't predict how much we're going to get done within the next month or so, but it's going to be a lot of busy back end stuff. And we are starting the production on Gwen's arc, so we might have some updates on that. I'll try to bring in a few updates, show it. It's going to be interesting. We do have some very major backgrounds to get done for Edding's Cove. It'll be the first time Edding's Cove is going to be shown anywhere in not only Guns of Icarus, but also their background lore, you name it. It's only existed as a little pixel on a map so far, so now we're going to show full glory Edding's Cove, and that we might only do concepts for these videos and save the real one for the game. We'll see. So anyways, a lot to look forward to. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the skies. Johnny!